Hello, hello. My name is Jenny Fitterer, and I am here with your Cancer season forecast. So, as always, we're going to be doing a rundown of the basic astrology that's going to be in this season, some of the major transits that'll be happening, and then we'll also do a single tarot card reading for the collective. So, this is Cancer season, and Cancer season starts off with the June solstice. So, for those of us in the northern hemisphere, this is the summer solstice, where we have the longest day and the shortest night, and then in the southern hemisphere, it's the other way around and we're in the winter solstice. So we are at a time of extreme opposites that are about to kind of transition to move us back into the middle. But this isn't necessarily a time where we think about things feeling balanced. Equinoxes are a time of balance, but we're in this stretch zone where in the northern hemisphere we've got this abundance of life, this energy. Sometimes it can feel kind of manic energy. You don't need to sleep nearly as much. And then in the northern hemisphere, or in the southern hemisphere, we've been in this cocooning winter state where we need a lot more rest. So its balance doesn't always balances over a continuum as well, which includes the peaks and the lows and the input, high energy input and low energy input as well. So we're at this edge of extremes, and that we're about to start our journey back kind of towards the middle ground. So Cancer season, Cancer is a water sign. It's a cardinal water sign. So as a water sign, it's very much concerned with the realms of the emotions, and specifically Cancer is often very a little bit more concerned with their emotions initially. So there's this being very aware of our own kind of compassion, our own hurts, our own emotional state, and from that awareness of our own emotional state, then Cancer is able to then connect empathetically with others as well. But it starts with knowing and being nurtured and cared for in your own emotional state. The Cancer is the sign associated with the mother archetype. So the idea of the loving, nurturing mother that pours abundantly this love and connection into the infant in order to nurture them and grow them. And then as that infant grows and gets older, then a healthy Cancer, the mother then begins to let go a little bit more and allow this sort of creation to grow and be independent on their own. So Cancer as a emotional sign, and very interested in safety and that nurturing way that the mother is also the safe space for the child. Cancer is very concerned with safety as well, safety and intimacy. So Cancer is in this season, we're also thinking about our boundaries and the things that keep us safe. This often looks like a focus on the home space. So the home of the mother, the mother, it starts as the original home for the child. The physical womb is both the home and the feeding ground and everything for the child. So Cancer is interested in security of the home space, feeling safe in the home, feeling an emotional haven and safety inside of yourself. And from that place of safe intimacy is then interested in pouring out and nurturing to others. So there can be this sort of, in Cancer season, also this pull back into how am I doing? And Cancer, when it's not feeling safe, can be very moody, can be very self-protective. The image of Cancer is the crab, and the crab, we have this hard exterior shell and this really soft, gooey inside. So Cancer can sometimes also these kind of pinchy claws. So Cancer can, if they feel that their soft interior is in any way in jeopardy, they kind of retreat into that shell and kind of like until they feel safe and comfortable to be able to come out as well. So Cancer season isn't just this loving, nurturing space. It comes from true nurturing, and love is only going to be found with that sort of foundation of security where you can relax and you can be vulnerable and express yourself because you know that you have that degree of protection. So those are themes that do come up in Cancer season. So we're going to be noticing a little bit more of that. So the sun is going to be moving into Cancer on June the 21st. And any of the times and dates that I mentioned is Pacific time where I'm at. So it might be slightly different depending on where you are. So with the sun, as always, whenever the sun moves into a sign, it's this big light. The sun is like this big beam that shines on that concept, and it becomes a lot more, we become more aware of it, and things that may have been hidden previously, maybe ways that we weren't feeling safe and secure, maybe ways that we were feeling that our emotions weren't being cared for, or ways in which we even wanted to be able to do more nurturing and care but just didn't quite have the capacity to prioritize that. With the sun moving into Cancer, all of a sudden these concepts are going to be a lot more illuminated, and they're going to kind of be glaring out at us, and we can't ignore them anymore. So this is going to be for you you individually, this might come up as a concept, but also for people around you. So if we're exploring our boundaries and making sure that we're feeling safe and secure, you may also notice that the people around you are doing that too. People might kind of withdraw a little bit and be kind of like, oh, I was kind of committing that to you, but now I really need to make sure that I feel safe and comfortable and secure myself. The opposite may also happen. You may find that people have this energy of Cancer season where they want to give and they want to nurture and they want to care and they want to share their emotions, and they're going forward. So it, both sides of the coin are going to be present, and they really in an ideal situation, they complement each other, where the desire to give and to nurture and to care in an emotionally safe and intimate way is coming from that foundation of security and safety. And then one of the things that makes us feel safe and secure is being able to be nurtured and to nurture in a safe, vulnerable container. So they play together, and the wanting to kind of move back and forth between, oh, how are my boundaries? Oh, and can I connect with you? Oh, but I want to make sure I'm connecting with you from a safe place. But then I really do want to connect. That kind of wave form is something that you might notice in yourself and the people around you. So that's the Sun moving into Cancer on June 21st. Next, we have Mercury is going to be following the Sun quite close and joining the Sun in Cancer on June the 26th. So Mercury being our planet of thought, communication, this just means that we're going to be even more verbal about those needs, which is a really, really good opportunity, because a lot of the time we can feel hurt or we can feel love and we can really want to exude it, but feel really trapped, certainly culturally. And there's certainly a lot of gender relevance as well to who's sort of allowed to express emotions or which emotions people are allowed to express. And so it can feel really difficult to connect across that gap when communicating about emotions. So Mercury moving into Cancer is going to give us that extra sort of permission and encouragement to be communicative about our emotional needs, to be communicative about our needs to be nurtured and our desires to nurture and care for others. So a word that I kind of think about in this regard that, we think about in many ways, but it seems relevant right now, is the word consent. So consent is certainly all about communication, and it's all about safety as well. So and if Cancer has this tendency to be in this sort of moody shell and wanting to make sure they're feeling safe, Mercury in Cancer to me really sounds like asking consent. And asking consent for yourself as well, checking in with yourself. If somebody wants something from you or wants to engage with you, and there can be a natural tendency to give people what they want. Or Cancer, oh yeah, I'll just give you whatever you need. But maybe that actually doesn't make you feel safe. Maybe you need to check in and say, actually, no, I think I'm a no for that right now. And I really just need to make sure that I'm aware of what my yeses and my nos are so that I can communicate them well to other people. A somewhat famous issue for Cancer, because they can have this just loving abundance, is to overextend, to overgive, and then when they've exhausted themselves can feel really taken advantage of and pull back and get really kind of grouchy. And that's sometimes it can be other people taking advantage of you, but a lot of the time it's just not having articulated your proper boundaries or being aware of your clear yeses and nos. And so you over consent to things that maybe you would have liked to say no to, and people just take you at your word. So it is very important that consent and awareness starts with yourself so that you can strongly articulate your boundaries and your yeses and your nos, and then also being able to make sure that you're facilitating that space of safety for other people to communicate that as well, so that they feel safe as well and they don't feel pressured or they don't feel like they just sort of need to give because that's what's expected of them. Obviously, consent is a huge topic that I can't really cover in this sort of thing, but that's just sort of the kind of Cancer consent. Mercury in Cancer is really wanting to double check, triple check in kind and loving ways for ourselves and to others that we are a strong yes or we are a strong no for the things that we're sharing, and the ways that we're making ourselves vulnerable in relation with other people. So that's Mercury entering Cancer on June 26th. Also, what I'm getting a sense of as well is that it's okay to cry. Crying is communication. Not all communication is verbal. It's communication to ourselves and to others. So Mercury in Cancer may also have a hard time articulating with words because of large emotions. So in ways in which you can communicate emotion that might be a little bit other than conversation, or allowing those emotions to flow through communication, but in a kind way. So just sort of Cancer wants those emotions to flow, and finding ways where that's going to be healthy for yourself and those around you is going to be, a good way to not have that kind of be stuck for you. Next transit we have is Neptune is going retrograde in Pisces. So Neptune is one of the further out planets. So it does work on our lives independently, but it's also one of those kind of planets that has a bit more collective energy for kind of the larger groups and community at large. Neptune it's great that it's been in Pisces because it's a very complementary sign. So Neptune is this planet of dreams and visions, and also sort of like illusion and deception. And it has this connection to the super real realms. So the realms that aren't just our tangible, physical, touch this is what we know to be true, or the worlds that our sort of Western science model really likes to, like, if we can test it, we want it to be peer reviewed, this is what's real. And if we can't test it, it's not really real, or it's not really viable. So Neptune kind of invites us into a reconnection with the worlds that are maybe beyond just what we're used to contacting with our obvious senses, and into kind of more of the psychic or dream sort of realms. And Pisces, the sign that Neptune is in, is that same connection, is that realm of the psychic and the worlds beyond us, and the movement from the physical realm into the spiritual realm, and the connection and the conduit that we are, being physical beings and spiritual beings, and kind of straddling that point. So Pisces is this very complementary sign of the dreams and the visions that we have. And all of our dreams and visions, they're not real. You can't touch them when you have a dream or an idea or an inspiration. It exists in this realm of thought, or this other, where do these ideas come from? Do we create them? Do they come to us? Where the land of dreamers and poets is already a kind of strange world that we interact with in our minds and our dreams. And Pisces is just encouraging you to lean into the realness of that which seems beyond real. These are always kind of nebulous concepts to talk about, but Neptune as the planet has been in Pisces, and Neptune has this aspect of it's kind of like a fog, where things are not very clear. Neptune is not a planet of clarity. It's a planet that kind of obscures. It's sort of this sense of like the way that if you're like water in the ocean, when light goes through it, it kind of refracts it and diffuses it. It's not super clear. So we can see things in the ocean, but the way vision works there is a little bit different. So Neptune often is what it feels like, where we're sort of clouded or not able to see things. And so Neptune being in Pisces, it can be a time where it kind of can go either way, where our dreams and visions seem really hazy. Like we can't, like we have this idea, we want these visions to happen, but it's just, you can't really grasp them. They just kind of like go through, and you have a thought and then it's gone. So this hazing of our dreams can sort of like, where it just doesn't feel clear, or a desire to be direct and attack our dreams head on, doesn't really work. But because dreams already have this sort of nebulous concept, it's kind of like, don't fight the current, swim with the current. So if Neptune kind of obscures our ability to access our dreams in a linear fashion, then don't. Dreams are very non-linear. Allowing the kind of confusion or the symbolism of the dream world to speak to us, and not try to capitalize it in a kind of mathematical way of, oh, if this is my dream, this is what I have to do, or this dream means this, but allowing the realm of symbols and poetry and analogy and metaphor to kind of come through your envisioning of your dreams. And then that's it. It allows you to kind of, it's like understanding that the light is going to bend in the water, and so you bend with it. So Neptune and Pisces, it's kind of hard to, like I said, it's kind of hard to describe this one because it kind of is so nebulous and independent. But Neptune has been in Pisces for a while, and now Neptune is going retrograde. So in a way, this is going to even more amplify the non-linear aspect of this transit. So retrogrades, as I've talked about, when something goes retrograde in the sky, it looks like it's been going forward, and then just because of the optical illusion of how the planets move around each other, it looks like it goes backwards in the sky. is moving backwards before it goes forward again. So that backwards time is the retrograde. And that kind of backwards time, it really, when we think retrograde, we think of all of our RE words like reflect, reorient, restructure, or in this case, reimagine, redream, where it's kind of like we want to go back and check our work. We've sort of been in a direction, or in this case with this being all about dreams and visions, we've been thinking our dream is this way. We've had our guiding light. We've really been moving towards a vision of some sort. But with the retrograde, it's this sort of like, is this the vision that you really are working towards? Or this is the vision you have, but maybe are you going about it in a different way? It actually, is the light going to refract even more and you should go around a corner in a different way? It pulls us back into the reflection stage of our vision and really getting clear, and or allowing ourselves to not have to be clear, but to be in this state of chosen confusion, and in a world where we're so used to needing to have the answers right away, and we also need to have our mind engaged all the time, and we really don't want to be bored, we always have to be entertained. This Neptune retrograde in Pisces is really like inviting the being comfortable in those states of confusion and boredom and uncertainty, because that is where the genius moment comes from. When we are very clear on what we're doing, we're often actually following the way that something's already been done. And genius usually doesn't exist in the well-trodden path. Now that's just the mundane. So it's in those spaces of confusion, uncertainty, things aren't very clear, where the ability to have that insight or that new possibility comes through. So Neptune going retrograde in Pisces is really like, come deeper into the water. It's going to be confusing, but if you are embracing that confusion and allowing this sort of passive receptivity of the kinds of inspirations and dreams that may come through, rather than searching for them in a really like, go get them kind of way, that's when that genius is able to kind of come through and those visions are able to come through. In general, this is a good time if you do have a spiritual practice to really lean into that, because those are often the modes in which we are more receptive. So whether that's meditation, whether that's prayer, whether that's looking at astrology and tarot and supporting your lovely astrologers, because the realms of symbols and prayers and meditation are the non-cognitive, non-direct way of receiving information and sensation and tapping into our kind of deeper knowing that isn't so cognitive. This is a really helpful time to lean into those practices, as this is kind of the energy that's available. So that's the Neptune retrograde in Pisces, and if I didn't mention the date, that's on June 30th. So we'll be swimming around in those waters for a while. Next, we have Mars is going into Virgo on July the 10th. So Mars is, in a lot of ways, the opposite of Neptune. Mars is our planet of action, direct focus action, this sort of charging forward. It has this association with the masculine archetype of the forward direct motion. Mars is also seen as the planet of like aggression, and assertion. So this sort of warrior energy of what we attack or what it is that we stand for to defend. It's very like get her done kind of activity. And Mars is moving into Virgo, and that's an interesting kind of softening aspect for Mars. Mars has been in Leo, where it's like, it's my way, and I'm going to stand for it, and I'm not going to take orders from other people. Whereas Virgo is this Earth sign. It's a more receptive, or not receptive. It's a service-oriented sign where Virgo wants to help others. Virgo doesn't necessarily take their needs to be the top, but instead is chosen to act in service to others and care for other people. So Mars in Virgo is going to kind of, in a lot of ways, have us start to look around a little bit more at the needs of others, which is a really, that's a gateway into connection and community. When we're all very focused on our own needs, which can be really excellent, and we can learn a lot of self-reliance and self-confidence in that way. But Virgo is also this opportunity to network through service, to say, I help you, and then give you an opportunity to help me. And maybe together, now that our needs are met, we can help others, and we can spread this connection and abundance around instead of everybody just individually helping themselves. So it's this it's not, when we think of Virgo being in service, it should be, or hopefully, a chosen, consented, and joyful service. It can sometimes slip into like martyred servitude, where you feel like you have to do it, or you feel like you're inferior to other people and your desires don't matter, so you just put that energy into other people. So it can come from that. We always need to watch out with Virgo energy that we're not placing ourselves below others in a worth sense, just because we are choosing to elevate their needs right now in sort of an activity or active sense. So also Virgo is very analytical, very like organized, and like wanting to get things done in a certain way. And so Mars being this planet of action and how we take action and do things, this is a really great time to sort of get really organized, and sort of, instead of like running around, I gotta do this, I guess I gotta do this, but like, if you're a list person, make lists. If you're not a list person, try making lists. Maybe it'll help you. And really getting clear on what it is that need to be done, but also in a sort of wide array. Virgo has this energy of like the spider web net, or weaving and connecting all of these different threads of a tapestry together. So Virgo has this really great sort of critical analysis and strategy component to it, which goes beyond just A to B to C to D. It's being able to bring in your needs and my needs and this time, and this sort of great manager kind of vibe. Virgos are our super awesome task managers, because it's also being able to pull from different dimensions to bring and weave towards a certain goal. So if you've had a lot of your sort of different plans or things kind of going on that like sort of feels really spread out and disconnected, like I've got this thing I have to do here with my house, and I've got this thing with my work, and then I've got this family issue here, and then I have this thing here, it's a great time to even try to bring those webs together. And when we think about service, we think about helping other people, including yourself, putting yourself in that web as well, which is sort of like, maybe this issue here actually could connect here and we could help each other. Or maybe I've been struggling with this by myself, but there's this friend over here that I heard they actually had something similar. Maybe we can help each other. And so you're using this sort of strategic way to bring ties together while also engaging in this service and community aspect. So that's sort of what Mars and Virgo is sort of inviting, is this softening, looking into the needs of others, but being able to see the larger web of all the things that need to get done and connect the dots and then get them done in a very efficient kind of way, while being aware that we can sometimes fall into inferiority or hyper criticism. Virgo is very, very critical. It's part of how they get things done so well. So trying to have a healthy critique and a relationship of healthy criticism without being overly kind of bashing on yourself or other people. So that's Mars in Virgo, July 10th. Next, we have Mercury. It's moving out of Cancer. Mercury moves real fast into Leo, right on July 10th as well. So super, super close to Mars there. So Mercury is, again, that planet of thought, communication. We'll have just spent some good time thinking about our boundaries, our emotional needs, our desire to connect intimately and safely with others and ourselves. And then Mercury comes out of that watery sort of Cancer energy into the bright, shining sun of Leo. So what this really feels like is how, when you have done the work to have that safe womb nurturing experience, from that foundation of safety, you can then move out into the world in a far more confident and regulated way. Leo is all about being the center stage, being seen, being connected, and being loved and congratulated for who they are. And that is best done from that place of safety. You've already dealt with your boundaries. You've already had your needs for intimacy met. And then you can step forward and be able to present yourself and your ideas, your creative expression to the world. Since Mercury is this planet of thought and communication, we can think of communication as expressing our thoughts, expressing our needs. And Leo is a sign of expression. And it's thought of in a sign of expression mostly through creativity. So the idea of the artist that wants their soul expressed through their art, and they want others to see it and engage with them in that particular way. Leo can also be seen as like the little kid who's like just made a sculpture or painted something and is like, look, is looking for this positive affirmation of their contribution and their expression. When a kid comes to you with their crappy painting, you're not there being an art critic. You are there receiving their creative expression of themselves. And so to receive that, and what you're not congratulating the piece of art, you're congratulating that person for their boldness and their creativity and their willingness to take a piece of themselves and show it to us in a way that is vulnerable, but has this potential for really wonderful connection. So that's sort of the heart of Leo, and Mercury moving into Leo means that now we're going to want to communicate and show our creative innards, as it were, and our creative heart more to other people. So this doesn't just have to be in the like fine arts sort of sense. This can be in business. If you've been working on a business idea and like it's kind of want to stay in the Cancer safe zone, but now we're ready to present it and have it be seen. This can be relationally as well. It might be like now you get to stand up for your own needs and your own sort of who you are in the relationship, and being really seen and wanting to express that and wanting to have some healthy applause for who you are and what you do. So it's applicable in all ranges, because wherever we are and whatever we are doing, we are showing up with the expression of who we are inside. To whatever degree, whether we're holding it in or we're screaming it out, creative expression is just about the heart inside us being seen through some medium one way or another. So that's going to be Mercury in Leo, July 10th, really helping us communicate and think about what that creative expression is that we can show other people. Then the last major transit we have is Venus, who has been in Leo already, is going retrograde July 22nd. So Venus has been in Leo since the end of Gemini season. And so Venus is, because Venus is retrograding in Leo, Venus is spending a couple months in Leo this round. So remember what we talked about retrograde, that illusion of the planet going backwards and pulling our focus from forward directed energy to reflection, examining things. And Venus is our planet of relationships, love, values, also money as well. And so this is a time where we're going to want to do a little bit more reflection on our relationships. And this can be romantic relationships, can be friendships, any sort of way in which we are relation to others, and not even other humans. It can be a relationship to the natural world, relationship to our fur family and our animal friends, whatever it is, the ways in which our heart connects in relationship to another, Venus is involved there. So we want to reflect on our relationships. We really want to see how we're showing up in them. But because Venus is in Leo, we're wanting to reflect on our expression in our relationships, how we feel our heart is being seen and either congratulated or not. Do we feel like that, that child being loved for their enthusiasm and bringing themselves to the table, not because of the quality of the work or the labor that a child does, but just who they are as a being seen and cheered on? Do we feel like that? Do we feel like in our relationships who we are as being seen and being cheered on, or not? If you're in relationships where you don't feel like the heart of you is really receiving the joy and the congratulations for just being you and having the courage to exist, well, maybe that's a relationship that's either run its course or needs to have some work put into it. This doesn't, of course, retrogrades, it can be really tempting just to kind of throw everything out in a retrograde, because we suddenly start to see, oh, this is an issue, or this is a struggle, or this is a problem, and those struggles come up as an invitation to reflect, as an invitation to restructure. It doesn't mean everything's BS and has to be thrown out now. It's just that, hey, this needs attention. It's just the warning light on your car going on to say, can you attend to this? It doesn't mean the car's dead, throw it all out. So this invitation in our relationships to examine these Leo concepts, this heart, this expression, our confidence as well. Do we feel confident in our relationships? Do we feel really nervous? Do we feel scared? Do we feel small and squashed? That Leo doesn't thrive that way. So Venus wants us to look at, do we feel confident in our relationships, and why or why not? And what can we do to increase our confidence in those relationships, whether it is to work and maintain those relationships but in a conscientious way, or whether it is the fact that relationship needs to change or move on at some point. All of these things are going to be invited to look at with Venus and Leo going retrograde. So that's July the 22nd. And since Mercury is going to be in Leo with them, this will really will be in sync with our ability to communicate these things that we're kind of discovering about our heart. So yeah, that'll be some good. So there's some interesting energy. There's a lot of fire, water this season, which we've got these planets in Cancer, these planets in Leo as well. So that'll be an interesting mix. So that's the main planetary transits. I'll just give you your quick moon dates for the season. So the full moon in Capricorn will be July 3rd, and then we will have the new moon in Cancer on July 17th. So those are going to be your moon dates, and that's it for the astrology. So now we get to do a card. So there, that was quick. That seemed to come out really quickly. So just while I'm doing this, I'm just going to acknowledge that while I'm reaching over here for the book, I'm going to acknowledge that I live and work on the unceded territories of the Lekwungen-speaking people, the Esquimalt and Songhees nations. This is where I have my spiritual practice and my physical subsistence, and I am deeply, deeply grateful for all of the love and work and energy that's been given into this land that I now benefit from as an uninvited individual here. So I just wanted to say that, and now we're going to see what our card is for Cancer season. Our card is Temperance reverse. So this is the way the card looks the right way up. We have this young sort of femme figure here. She's got these sort of fiery wings and this cloud-like hair, and she's pouring a cup of something into another cup. And then we've got this sort of ocean or lakescape with some mountains back there. And it came out upside down like that. Okay. So it's a major arcana card, and we're going to see what Temperance has to say for us this month. Okay. Temperance. True will. This image differs from all the others in Dolly's tarot deck. The colors are relatively pale, creating a somewhat overexposed impression. The image is more like a sketch than a finished painting, and it also seems to be less artful than the others. All these features have given rise to considerable speculation. Rachel Pollack has called the picture a crude comic. Others consider it to be a rather awkward homage to Dolly's lady friend Amanda Lear, while still others simply suspect that Dolly didn't know what to do with a card called Temperance. In the upper left corner, we can see some letters painted over in blue, but these also fail to explain the true meaning of this card. Either it is just a blunder, a changeling among the 78 cards, or its meaning lies in a different realm altogether. Even in ancient Greece, long before the first tarot cards were created, temperance was considered to be one of the cardinal virtues. It has to do with the right measure of all things, and with basic human creativity. We will not find our own true measure, our art, and our own style of living by looking up to idols and masters. What seems to be a foundling among Dolly's tarot cards is really a provocation. The card urges us to become active as an artist and master of the art of life in designing our own lives. Traditionally, Temperance is considered to be a fire card. Purification through fire sloughs off all dross, allowing true will to be reborn. This can only be recovered by giving up the position of commentator and spectator and becoming an active participant in life. Practical advice. Existing facts may be melted down and newly forged. Joyfully change the world and begin to play with new possibilities. Establish your own creativity workshop. In your daily life, find a time and a place to take a break and tarry a while on a regular basis. Okay, so this card, normally when I get this card, I'm like all over it. I'm all about the concepts of temperance. I'm big on temperance, moderation, the right thing at the right time, which also temperance, when we think of temperance as the right thing at the right time, rather than all things in moderation, it allows us to expand past the idea that the middle is the best way to be, that balance and health is to stay in the middle. Balance, only a little bit of this, only a little bit of that. The right thing at the right time means that in times of extremity, be extreme. When things need to be buck wild, as it were, because that's what the world demands of us, then that is the right thing at the right time. And when it is time to be calm, when it's time to be in moderation, it's kind of like also have moderation in moderation, where just being aware that there's no one right thing for all time. There's no one right thing for all people. It really is, what does this moment demand of me, this person, in this time? And that answering that question is going to look different for everybody, and it's going to look different for you at different times. So in general, this card invites us to take every moment as its own moment and examine in that moment, what is the right thing to be doing at this time? The right thing in terms of not some like exteriorly given, this is what you should do, but just sort of, yeah, allowing, needing that choice to be made at all times and not just following a set rule book. That's usually what comes up with this card. What I'm noticing more this round is actually talking a lot about creativity, and that to me is actually feels more like the Leo signs that we have this season. So yes, it's Cancer season, but we have a lot of Leo energy, which is about creative expression, and this card is really talking about play and this creativity workshop and seeing us as an artist and a master of the art of our lives. So there has this sense of this call to this confident creation of our lives, this confident expression of the artistry of our being that wants to come out and wants to be expressed. Maybe with temperance, maybe understanding that the show isn't all about you, not all the time, but sometimes it is. So trying to find the right amount of your own expression, when it is better to pull back, when it is better to stand forth, and shine it out, and really kind of moving through the waveform of our creative expression. The thing that sort of tied me to Cancer season had less to do with the words and more to do with just this image here, this pouring of a water cup into another cup. So there's Cancer, as we've talked about, is a water sign. And one of the very normal phrases that we talk about, especially with Cancer, is you can't pour out from an empty cup. So Cancer is very often this giving, this pouring out of this water element, this love, this nurture, this emotion. And the tendency for Cancer can be to just pour until the cup is empty, and then shake a few more last drops off and spit and dump as much as it can, and then it's empty. And then Cancer is like, I'm empty, and pulls themselves into their own sort of, and I can say this with Cancer, I'm a Cancer rising, so I can poke fun, but running away into their little castle and into their crab shell and saying, I'm too worn out, you've all used and abused me. When really it's usually Cancer who's pouring out and not filling up. So this whole, she's pouring the cup into the other cup, like, I need to pour into my cup as well. And it's this balance of this temperance, the right amount of giving at the right time and the right amount of receiving at the right time, that I pour for a while and then I allow myself to be filled up. Or I establish a way in which I'm pouring in, but I also, somebody's pouring into me at all times. I'm not this lone giving martyr, forever being the one who gives out and never receives, as if I have this sort of feeling that receiving is bad. Which is weird as a giver to feel like receiving's bad, because you're tacitly shaming the people that you're giving to, which is a sort of head jump for a lot of the martyred Cancers in the world. So this image here of just pouring into your own cup. It's our own cup, making sure that you are finding the things that fill you up, whether it's engaging relationally with others, whether it's your own spiritual practice, whatever it is. There's so many ways in which we have our cup filled, and that always needs to be a priority, not an afterthought. Including, it can be a priority, a selfless priority, because you can't pour out from an empty cup. So it is good and a priority to fill your cup so that you can pour out. So that's sort of what I'm feeling from this card, is this right thing at the right time. And the two main thoughts on that are this sort of more Leo creative expression, and how and when and in what way you want to expose your own creativity and your own heart being to the world around you. And then this balance of this Cancer needs emotions, security, intimacy. When do we need our alone time? When do we need our connection? And finding that balance of this fluid dynamic of in and out, pouring in and out. So that's what I'm getting from the card here, and that's sort of it for the reading, I suppose. So hopefully this sets you up well for this season, and that you're feeling prepared for Cancer season ahead. I thank you very much for being here with me. This is a pay what you can workshop, so any and all donations are very much appreciated. They help me to keep working and creating this content, so I very much appreciate you pouring from your abundant full cup into mine, so that I can continue to pour back out to you in a beautiful reciprocal relationship. So thank you very much. Best of luck, my blessings to you this Cancer season, and I will see you next month.